Yeah. Good evening, everyone. I'm Vijay Bhaskar from Academic Affairs Club EC department, and today I'll be hosting today's Tech Talk. So today we have Mr. Harish, who is working in Virginia Tech from US. So let me introduce Harish. Mr. Harish, please introduce yourself.
Hi everyone. I am Harish. First of all, uh, sorry uh, sorry for keeping you so late. So I know this is you're just kickstarting your weekend. And second, thanks to Rafi sir for inviting me for this tech talk. So um, uh, to uh, to provide a brief bio of about me. So I mean, there is no surprise here. I did my bachelor's at our college. In fact, graduated before Geo 4G was launched, and even before Bahubali 1 released. After that, I did masters at IIT Hyderabad with major in communications and signal processing, and now I am pursuing PhD at Virginia Tech, planning to finish it by next year. And after
Yeah.
masters and before enrolling for PhD, I worked for a while at Analog Devices India Private Limited, and then at a startup called Visig Networks for most of the time for close to 4 years. Visig is a startup founded by my master's advisor, Professor at IIT Hyderabad, Kiran Kuchi. Some of you might have heard of his name, and he is one of the leading wireless researchers from India. Uh,
Yeah.
so, um, uh, so today, yeah, I mean, should I proceed with the presentation, or how do you want to
Yeah.
go about it?
Yeah. That's good to hear about you, Mr. Harish. Okay. Let me check the presentation. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Harish is dealing with wireless communication, working as a communication engineer in Virginia Tech, US. So today, Mr. Harish will be sharing some insights about wireless communications. So yeah, we are okay, Mr. Harish. Yeah.
Okay. Uh, Thank you, Vijay. So, as Vijay mentioned, I'll be talking about communications, especially wireless communications, because that's what my research is, and that's what I feel I'm good at. So in this talk, I'll try to induce some interest on wireless communications into everyone's brain. And I'm gonna do that by talking about a bit of everything that's related to and that I know of wireless communications. So this is the outline of my talk today. Again, I'm giving you a heads up. I'm not here to impart any knowledge to you. So I'm simply here to share some general knowledge and some insights to bring awareness about wireless communications. And I'll also talk about higher studies and career options in wireless communications. So I'm going to do that by briefly explaining how wireless communications evolved over the years. Again, this may not be completely new to you, but this is I'm going to start with that to basically gets into the wireless communication zone today. So then I'll explain what wireless industries do and what kind of products they have, and following that, I'll briefly explain what kind of skills a wireless engineer or researcher needs. So both technical and programming skills, and then I'll get into the most important part of today's discussion, higher studies in India and USA. I mean, I kind of did both. I did masters at IIT Hyderabad, and I'm doing my PhD at Virginia Tech now. So I have some knowledge about both. So I'll basically go through the different options and what labs to target, and of course the interesting part, pay scale. And finally, I'll end my talk with the exciting research areas that that future wireless researchers can focus on, or even the current wireless researchers. So, so wireless communications evolution saw a wide range of technologies coming into life. A few of them are, of course, what we use on a daily basis: cellular communications, evolving from 1G to 5G, and short-range communications like Wi-Fi. Um, so, uh, so I mean, we need to admit that because of these technologies, we are enjoying seamless communications in terms of voice and data. So we hardly imagine a day without communication. So why do we need communication? So of course, at this point, it's an irrelevant, and I know that. So just to have a discussion, so we know that two basic necessities of communication is to have voice and data. So we have come to a stage where it is nearly impossible to envision a day without communications and internet. So these are some of the funny memes I found amusing, depicting the scenario, or depicting what role communications and internet play in our day-to-day lives. So I'm sure most of you have seen this movie as well. So this is about a guy who basically ends up in a ends up in isolated island, and he has to basically live there for some time before people save him. So that's how our life would be when the Wi-Fi is not working. So and yeah, even in day-to-day our lives, we need AI tools like chat GPT. I'm sure most of you have heard of it, and most of you would have used it already. So and in fact, I was talking to one of my friends at Qualcomm the other day. So he was telling me in 1 or 2 years, chat GPT can write a PhD thesis if you provide enough details about what kind of research you will be doing. So that's where we are heading, and of course it is kind of alarming. So because after certain stage, things will start losing credibility. So but yeah, that's where we are heading to. So and we mm, and as it evolves, we also evolve, and we try to exploit the technologies and the internet as much as possible. So this is how cellular networks evolved over the years from 1G to 6G. So 1G was introduced in 1981, before any one of us was born. And if you look at that speed, you would be like, so what people used to do with that kind of speed? What can people possibly do? So that was meant for basic voice service, especially not using the digital communication or digital protocols that we see now. It was using analog protocols, and then we went to 2G. It was introduced in 1992. Speeds went up to 64 kbps, and again, even in 2G, there was no internet connectivity. So there was a technology between 2G and 3G, which is called 2.75G. So they call it edge enhanced data rates for GSM evolution. GSM is the technology with which 2G was introduced. I'm sure people must have heard of it. So in 2.75G, there was internet connectivity, but not fully evolved. So the first mobile broadband was introduced in 3G. So but I'm sure you haven't used 3G at all. So you must be knowing broadband only from 4G as far as cellular networks is concerned. So in 3G started first mobile broadband, and it supported up to 2 Mbps. It was introduced in 2001 using this CDMA technology, which was basically contributed by Qualcomm. So they were the major players as far as 3G 3G introduction was concerned. So then people thought that, okay, we need some technology which can provide um, true mobile broadband, and also stay for like at least a decade. So that's why they even called it long term evolution. So they wanted to stay for some time and support up to 100 mbps. So and that's when 4G was introduced. So it was introduced in 2010, but maybe in India, uh, it was started around 2012, and when Geo was introduced in, I guess, 2016, that's when 4G really kicked in India. So but before that, it was started in 2010 across many other countries. So in LTE, basically it uses orthogonal frequency division multiplexing as a waveform, and as they expected, it stayed for a decade. So 4G basically provided services starting from 2010 until till now. And of course 5G was introduced in 2020, but we may not see it fully functioning in our country. But it's gonna happen pretty soon. So uh, so basically, in 5G also, they reused most of the technology from 4G, and theoretically, or in ideal cases, it supports up to 10 Gbps. And there are different technologies providing broadband and smart homes, and providing ultra low latency communications, and advanced technologies like augmented reality and virtual reality. So basically, the motivation behind 5G was to provide fiber-like speeds. When I say fiber-like speeds, like Ethernet and Wi-Fi, so that kind of speeds we expect in 5G. In 6G, possibly it's going to be introduced in 2030. So we see everything. I mean, simply saying, we see most of the things which are seen in movies. Like when we want to talk to some person, for example, if you have watched movie Robo, so a robot talks to that villain guy. I don't know. I don't remember his name. So his image appears in front of him. So that's kind of technology, or that kind of those are the kind of applications 6G is going to enable. So they're called holographic communications. And of course we try to connect everything to a network using 6G. Even in 5G we are seeing and we'll be seeing IoT playing a major role. And in 6G we call it Internet of Everything. So basically every possible object on the earth should be connected to 6G. And we see advanced technologies like integrated communications and sensing, self-organizing networks. When I say self-organizing networks, can basically monitor itself and takes care of itself. uh, this is a funny way to depict how data speeds evolved over time. So in 1G it was more like crawling, and then in 2G it was like walking, and 3G it was a bit of jogging, and then 4G 5G we are basically running and taking jets. That's how speeds evolved over time. And I just have this funny video explaining how speeds evolved. Yeah, so that's a funny way to explain how speeds evolved. And in um, so basically 6G will be like people say that, right? So it's like never before. So that's how 6G is going to be. Um, Cellular communications are in general long range communication technologies, and we have short range communication technologies as well, like Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, Zigbee, ultra wideband. And of course, most of us use Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. We use Bluetooth speakers, Bluetooth watch, and even some people use smart home devices. This is for short range communication, and even Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi was started before 3G. So basically, before cellular communications introduced broadband, Wi-Fi was the major broadband service people started using. In fact, I'm not very proud to say that now, as a wireless researcher, but even now, people basically fall back to Wi-Fi whenever people need very high data speeds. Even with technologies like 5G coming up, people will still rely on Wi-Fi. That's because uh, with Wi-Fi, high speed is always guaranteed, and uh, you 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 are basically Wi-Fi is in your local network, and providing you the dedicated service, as opposed to cellular communications, which is providing to wide range of customers. Uh, and we always see, when especially when we are roaming around, we always see cellular communications not providing a stable connectivity or stable internet. So so Wi-Fi is always playing its role in terms of providing broadband services, and of course we use Wi-Fi for everything, even for gaming and video streaming and everything. So Zigbee is again another short range communication technology, which is used for smart homes, automation, and smart metering, and for healthcare, even for agriculture applications as well. Ultra wideband technology is for positioning. So when I say positioning, I'm sure most of you, or every one of you, use GPS, global positioning system. Basically we use navigation, right? So this UWB is for communication and positioning. So basically, even the Apple handsets, iPhone mobile devices, they support UWB. So basically, when I say they support UWB, they can do measurements between two iPhone mobiles, and basically calculate how far it is from each other. And you can also connect multiple devices, and precisely locate a device. When I say locate a device, you can even calculate the coordinates of that particular device. Not only just finding the distance or range between those devices, you can also locate those devices accurately. So this UWB is precisely for positioning. So these are some of short range communication technologies. uh, of course, especially Wi-Fi is quite interesting, because, as I told you, Wi-Fi started offering broadband services even 3G was introduced, and it is still superseding cellular communications in terms of the data speeds it provides, so in terms of the stability it provides, in terms of the the wide range of connectivity it provides in general. So even now, even if you ask me, when I come back to home, I switched on Wi-Fi. When I go to lab, I switch on Wi-Fi. Uh, so even for day-to-day activities, so basically, ironically, to do wireless research, to do cellular communications based research, we are using Wi-Fi. So we always rely on Wi-Fi. um, hope 5G and 6G uh, exceeds those expectations, and supersedes Wi-Fi in terms of speeds and everything. Hope it happens. And so yeah, Wi-Fi started back in 1919. Like they call it Wi-Fi 1, and now we have Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 6E. Providing broadband services. So this cellular communications is generally developed by a standardization body called 3GPP. They call it Third Generation Partnership Project. So basically, all the major wireless players like Qualcomm, Intel, Nokia, Samsung, Ericsson, they are all part of that big standardization group, and each company contributes and develops these standards or develops this technology. In When it comes to Wi-Fi, it's developed by IEEE. And of course, you must have heard of IEEE papers, but they have they are the ones who started Wi-Fi. Uh, Wi-Fi started back in 1919, and of course we are seeing yeah, we are seeing Wi-Fi also evolving. And the best thing about Wi-Fi is it started with 20 megahertz bandwidth, and offering up to 2 Mbps even when it started. And now it basically provides speeds up to 1 Gbps, 5 Gbps. Uh, and it is also moving. I mean, initially it started with 2.4 gigahertz carrier. Now it's moving to 5 gigahertz, 6 gigahertz carriers to basically have more bandwidth and exploit the bandwidth to provide higher speeds. Mm. I'm sure I must have bored some of you till now. Just going through some these evolution of cellular networks and Wi-Fi. So now I'll start getting into some interesting part. Starting with what industries do, what major players do. So I just try to fit in Wisec networks here, because that's where I come from. It's not a major player as such, but I just wanted to promote it, since I worked there, and since I learned many wireless concepts, and it helped me to improve my knowledge drastically. So there are big players like Qualcomm, Nokia, Ericsson, Samsung, Huawei, Intel. So I'm sure you must have heard of all these different companies. Of course, Qualcomm. I mean, we are all using this Android and iOS handsets. Uh, Maybe in the not in the current iOS handset, but in most of the handsets we see Qualcomm processors, Qualcomm chipsets. So they call it in Snapdragon chipsets. When they introduce some new, when these mobile companies introduce new mobile devices, they always uh, mm, mm, uh, they always promote the kind of chipset they are using as well. We are using Snapdragon 430, Snapdragon 30. So those Snapdragon chipsets are from Qualcomm, and they also have products in RF front end and IoT devices. And as I told you, so they were the major players, uh, and they were the major players, and they were the biggest reason why 3G was introduced. And they also played a major role in 4G as well. In general, as I told you, so they are basically part of this big standardization body, where they contribute to different technologies and make sure 4G, 5G, 6G they evolve, and we have those technologies that can be implemented and deployed. And then the other biggest operate player is Nokia. So Nokia. I'm sure people know Nokia mobiles, and many of us would be thinking, okay, now that Nokia mobile devices are no more widely used, or not at all used, maybe. uh, so that even I thought, before knowing what they do, even I thought, okay, it's the it is the story with Nokia. So they are basically bankrupted, or basically done. So, but Nokia is one of the, in fact, the biggest player in 5G RAN business, or base station business in US. So they have 5G base station business, and they have 5G core. They have products in 5G core, and they are also in this uh, open RAN, which basically provides 5G 5G services by seamlessly connecting to blocks from other industries as well. So and they are leader in, again, standalone and non-standalone 5G technologies. So if you don't know that, don't worry about it. So basically they are leaders in 5G. And Ericsson is, again, second biggest base station vendor in US. So they are also in 5G RAN business, and uh, they are also in this, and especially they are bigger players in massive MIMO technology. So in fact, Ericsson and Samsung, they both played major role in massive MIMO technology, especially starting from 4G. So yeah, another bigger player is Ericsson. Again, Samsung. I should mention this. Samsung base station business, it shot up when Jio was introduced. So these Jio base stations, Jio 4G base stations, was provided by Samsung. So for now, for now, you must have understood that there is no bigger market than India. So Samsung is catering their services to the biggest market in the world. So when in fact, I still remember one article saying, before Jio was introduced, India was at 150 or 151st place in terms of data usage in the world. But after Jio was introduced, we went to number one place. So all that happened also because, of course, it's because of Jio, but also because of Samsung. And Samsung was very proactive to provide and deploy geo base stations, which was like massive. So they started with 4G, and they deployed all over India. Uh, mm, uh, and they didn't do that in stages. So that's where we need to appreciate Samsung. So Samsung also, they are again in base station business, and they are one of the bigger players in massive MIMO technology. And Huawei is a China-based company. In fact, some people might not agree with that, but Nokia and Ericsson are surviving in US because Huawei was banned in US. So, posing some security concerns, US basically banned Huawei and ZTE. So that's when Nokia and Ericsson got their business in US. But Huawei is the largest communications infrastructure manufacturer in the world. So followed by Samsung and Ericsson. Um, so uh, so they are also into base station business, and they have mobile devices as well, handset business as well. Yeah, they are China based company, and they are the largest manufacturer in the world currently. And Intel is not really into cellular communication business, they're basically, but they have these 5G solutions that they sell for other companies, and right now they are also working on having their own base station business and having their own cellular communication business. So and of course, Intel are major players in the laptop processors. Even the laptop I am currently using, it has Intel processor. So, but they are trying to get into 5G business and base station business, and yeah. So, in fact, Apple also tried collaborating with Intel, but it didn't work. So, yeah, let's see how Intel does in the coming years. Finally, Visig Networks. So it's not a big player, but again, they are evolving, and they are doing great currently. So their focus areas are 5G, NB-IoT, and ORAN. They have products like 5G in the box, where basically it is used for emulation purposes. You can take those products and test 5G 4x4 technology, and they have NBA IoT chipsets that are being manufactured currently. So maybe in the near future we will see those NBA IoT chipsets installed in the base station and working. And uh, so and one of the major roles YSIG is playing, it represents India in the standardization body that I talked to you about. So India has minimal representation, and in fact, these bigger players, they don't want small players to even represent. So in in that hefty politics, heavy politics, YSIG is still trying to represent India and push standards that would work for India, or countries like India. And in fact, in this, when trying to when trying to propose standards which would work for India, they ultimately government of India got involved, and they came up with this technology called 5G India. So and Visig Networks played a major role in bringing that up. So yeah, these are the different players, and of course there are many other players as well, like ZT and other players. So I just wanted to give a sense of what wireless industries do, and what kind of products they have. So now that we discussed what those wireless industries do, what kind of skills a wireless engineer needs in order to get into these industries, or in order to get into those teams. So so trust me when I say this. Even even if you are done with, I mean, now you'll be graduating with bachelors, but even if you're done with masters, and even if you're done with PhD, the core technical skills a wireless industry needs are probability, digital communications, signal processing, and linear algebra, and matrix analysis. So, I mean, uh, again, it may sound so simple, but there is always a catch there. So they just don't want you to, let's say, um, they don't, they just don't want good grades. I mean, of course, you need to have good CGPA, but that's not just enough. And it's not just enough to complete those assignments and complete those exams. So interviewers basically test your intuition, that you drawn from the different concepts you learned in these subjects. For example, one can ask why bit rate is same for both BPSK and QPSK, and all of you know digital discrete Fourier transform. So discrete Fourier transform is also a frequency representation, and it's also a Fourier transform. But after doing DFT, we get samples with some index, let's say K. So what does that index represents? And ultimately, ultimately discrete Fourier transform is also a Fourier transform. So how do we compare that with continuous time Fourier transform, discrete time Fourier transform? So and for example, questions like, let's say I give you a binary symmetric channel, and I tell you that uh, mm, uh, I tell you that the transition probability from 0 to 1 and 1 to 0 are greater than zero point 0.5. So then how do you I mean, basically the error is more than zero point 0.5. So how do you correct this system? How do you make it more effective? So these kind of questions interviewers might ask. So it's always good to develop those intuition and constantly testing your intuition that you drawn. And of course, when it comes to software, you need programming languages like C++ and Python, and you need to have hands-on experience with tools like MATLAB, Simulink. So these are again basic software skills. Again, I am not saying the skills should be limited to these. So these are minimum skills people expect. You it's okay to, it's in fact recommended to develop any skill that you are interested to develop. So I always say this to people. So there is no such skill that is not useful. So yeah, it's always good to learn those skills. And even skills like, let's say, writing a good report, even skills like, I mean, these are not again technical, these are non-technical skills. So uh, even these skills, you will see that they are being fruitful, and they'll be helping you in the future. And if you have some cross domain skills like artificial intelligence and machine learning, again, I can guarantee that if AI or ML is there in your resume stands out. So at least for next 5 to 10 years, AI and ML will be ruling. So if you got a provision, and if your curriculum supports, or even if you got time, um, try to gain as much as knowledge in AI and ML, and it will for sure help you anywhere you go. And of course, technologies like IoT, Internet of Technology. So those these are, I mean, cross domain skills are not again the basic skills people need, or minimal skills people need. But if you got them in your resume, then your resume stands out. So and there are other standout skills that will basically make your resume or profile significant from others, like having knowledge on 4G 5G standards, knowing concepts like OFDM and how they work, and advanced communication concepts like wireless channel estimation, MIMO, multiple input, multiple output, and having embedded knowledge, embedded C, FPGA, that knowledge, and having worked on network simulators. I don't know if you have heard of this, but there are some network simulators like NS3, NS2, NS3. So and there are some open source simulators like SRS RAN, Open Air Interface. So if you don't know them, don't worry. You will see them in the future for sure. Uh, but try to gain as many skills as possible, and you can only do that while you are in campus. So once you come out, things get busy, and you even the environment won't be as supportive as campus to learn all these different skills. So now I'll get into the most important part, higher studies. So I can guarantee that getting into IIT was the biggest game changer, in at least in terms of my career. So I mean, in fact, it took me a lot of patience and effort to take the decision, but ultimately I'm glad that it paid off. So I always encourage people to go for higher studies. Again, I won't force it, but if you want to give yourself some time to learn more stuff and gain more knowledge and acquire more skills, higher studies is the way. So again, I'm telling you, right, when um, campus is the best place to acquire skills or gain knowledge. Yeah, I always encourage people who are interested in higher studies. And 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 I always see people asking, okay, when someone is going for masters or PhD, for higher studies, people would be like, okay, oh, you still want to study for 2 more years, you still want to study for 5 more years. I always ask them, so you still want to work for 50 more years? So, I mean, just see the difference. So, people are not worried about working for 50 more years, but they are worried about studying for 2 or 5 more years, which will basically make another 40 or 45 years career quite amazing, uh, quite impeccable compared to what it would be before higher studies, or what it would be not going for higher studies. So I encourage you to consider this option, and try for different options. So in India, again, there is this option GATE. So I'm sure you must have known about it, and many people would be preparing for it. So in fact, I want to share my story briefly as well. So uh, when I applied for GATE, I had no knowledge about MTech, IIT. In fact, I got job at Infosys. I thought Infosys job was better than IIT. So now if I think about it, I just laugh at myself, thinking how stupid I was. But glad that I should mention it. Glad that I had someone like Rafi sir, who encouraged us to apply for GATE. In fact, he paid for my gate application fee as well, and he said, okay, you don't need to pay back this application fee, you just get good rank below 1,000, so that's like paying back to me. So I glad that I lived up to those expectations. And so with gate, you can get into IITs and triple IITs as well, but I'll focus on IITs. And of course, there are other options like getting into PSUs, and I mean, PSUs are basically for people who are explicitly trying for it. But if you're going for higher studies, yeah, you want to get into one of these IITs, especially when you are interested in wireless communications. So good labs are IIT Bombay, IIT Kharagpur, IIT Hyderabad, IIT Kanpur, and IIT Delhi. I would say, I mean, I am from IIT Hyderabad, so I would be a bit biased, of course, but I can confidently say that IIT Hyderabad is one of the leading IITs when it comes to communications and signal processing research. So consider giving gate and applying for these different IITs. The different options are, you can go for 1 year MTech as well. So at least I know that IIT Hyderabad offers this. I think all course, they call it all course MTech. So you can check that. So they have basically you have one year, 2 year, and 3 year MTech options. And again, don't think that, okay, 3 year maybe are better than or worse than 2 year, or 1 year maybe worse than 2 years or 3 years. So there is nothing like one is better and one is worse. So it's all about how much learning you have when you are basically completing your master's criteria or MTech criteria. In fact, I would say the long time you spend in IIT or in campus, the more knowledge you gain. So spending time, I mean, the time spent in IITs, the time spent on campus is never wasted. So you always end up using that time to learn something. So do, and ultimately for industries as well, MTech is MTech. So people, I mean, this was one of the things which misled us as well when we applied for masters. So that's why I'm reiterating it. So masters is masters for industries. So when you apply, they just look at you as master student, but again, they test your skills for this wireless engineer or wireless roles, and the skills I just described. So as long as you are strong in those, as long as your fundamentals are strong, you don't need to worry about which MTech course you enrolled in. And the other option is again direct PhD. In fact, I saw many of my friends doing that. In fact, now if you ask me now, I would what you would have chosen, tour MTech versus direct PhD? I would say direct PhD. Uh, so uh, so direct PhD is another option. So you can you can basically you can basically apply using GATE itself. So of course you need to give an exam and interview as well, I guess, for most of the IITs. Again, once you cleared GATE, I don't think that exam and interview would be as difficult as someone expect them to be. Um, yeah, so these are the two options that people have. And when it comes to pay scale, for MTech people, I guess currently it varies from 15 to 20 LPA, and for PhDs, of course, it's greater than 20 LPA. And maybe because of the recent market crash down, maybe some salaries went down and recruitment went down a bit, I guess. But in a year or so, things will be completely fine. So I don't think you need to worry about that. So by the time you graduate, things will be completely fine, and many roles will open up, and will have great pay scale as well. And For higher studies in US, and of course you need to give eligibility exams like GRE and TOEFL. And I guess TOEFL or IELTS is kind of mandatory, and but for many universities, I observed that GRE is not mandatory; it is optional. So you can even check that, and if GRE is optional, you can just skip it and just give an English exam, TOEFL or IELTS, and apply for masters or PhD. Here we call people call it MS, which is similar to MTech that we do. Here, the interesting part is they have two basically they have two categories of masters here. One is thesis and another one is non-thesis. Even you can choose to complete your masters just with coursework. But if one is really interested to learn something, do something, I would encourage them to enroll for thesis masters. And of course you need to submit your applications for different universities. And this is one thing I wanted to mention particularly. So I mean, mm, we we basically think that okay, going for masters to master doing masters or going for higher studies abroad is economically not feasible. So we need to go for hefty loans, and we need to spend even money from our personal savings. So that's what people generally think, but it I would say it's not completely true. And for example, I am doing my PhD at Virginia Tech, and I'm seeing many masters people, even masters people came from many masters people came from my previous company, Visig Networks. They all got either TA or RA fellowship. So when I say TA, teaching assistantship, you need to help professors in giving assignments or grading, and basically help them in whatever possible way in while they handle that subject. And RA is research assistantship. It's given to people as part of specific projects or specific funding professors have. they basically fund you to work in that project and contribute to that project. Again, you need to enroll for master's thesis for getting these fellowship. But I see fellowship not I mean, people might think that it's quite rare, but I see it's not so uncommon. So many I see many people getting these fellowships even for masters. And of course for PhDs, you are always more often than not, you are always guaranteed to get fellowship. But even for masters, there are many universities that offer fellowship. So uh, and this you can do either by contacting those departments, or by contacting those specific professors as well. So exploit this option. So in a way, you can do a master's or PhD in US for free of cost, and even they pay you for your personal expenses as well. So it will not be economically burdening anyone. So you don't need to use any personal savings, or you don't need to go for any loan as well. And many universities, even if they don't offer fellowship, they do offer what is called in-state scholarship, so which covers like half of the tuition fee that you need to pay. So try to acquire, try to know all these aspects before applying. And in fact, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me always. I can help you, or I can direct you to someone who can help you with that. So yeah, so there are some very good wireless labs. Of course, there are. I didn't mention uh, mm, the top universities like MIT, Stanford, UC Berkeley, or UCLA here, but I'm mentioning the wireless labs that we can target in general. UT Austin, UIUC, it's in Illinois. NYU, it's in New York. UCSB, they are in California. Virginia Tech, which currently I am at, and Northeastern University, North Carolina State University, Rice University, Texas A&M University, University of Southern California. So these are some good wireless labs that you can target, and they have good funding and good projects going on. So and when it comes to pay scale, so this might be quite interesting to you. So for master students, it starts around 120K USD per annum. So that is like more than 1 crore in INR, in our rupees. And for PhDs, it starts at 150K. So that's close to 1.26 crore in INR. That's per annum. So these are the kind of pay scale people are offered. So what I'm trying to convey is, even in the worst case, if fellowship is not guaranteed, the loan you apply for, or the expenses you spend, you can basically pay back them in the worst case like 2-3 years. So not more than that. Um, so so what I'm trying to say, doing higher studies in US is not alien. It is completely feasible and completely reasonable. It is as reasonable as doing masters or PhD in India. So yeah. um, Try considering this option as well. And again, if you got any questions, feel free to contact me, or any other people that you know of. So I'll basically conclude with the exciting research areas when you go for higher studies. So one is 6G again, of course. So in 6G, there are different aspects like terahertz communications, integrated communication, sensing, semantic communications. Uh, and the other one is massive MIMO. So in that, so again, you don't need to understand all these aspects. But once you get into some good wireless lab, and once you start working on these aspects, you will start understanding all these different aspects of it. And you will see how interesting they are and how exciting they are. Massive MIMO. So the other one is AI for communications. Again, I'm repeating it. So try to get some knowledge on AI and machine learning related concepts. So they are going to rule for the next 5 years, or for next decade. So be proactive and try to learn those concepts. The other one is IoT and massive mission type communications. It's for massive connectivity and AI-driven Internet of Things. The other one is non-terrestrial networks. So this is basically using satellites. I mean, the satellites are basically orbiting at different orbits, like low Earth orbit, medium Earth orbit, geostationary Earth orbits. For example, the GPS we are using, they are called MEO satellites. They are orbiting medium Earth orbit at around 20,200 kilometers from the Earth. Leos orbit around 600 kilometers. So NTN technology is basically using those Leos for providing broadband and positioning. And of course, you all know Elon Musk, and you all know they have the SpaceX program happening, and they also have they also have these Leo satellites. They call them Starlink satellites. So Starlink satellites are are already providing broadband services. When I say broadband services, internet connectivity, data connectivity. They're already providing broadband services, and but it's a standalone receiver. It's not the regular mobile devices that we use. But right now, the research is happening such that even the mobile devices can connect to satellites directly and get communication services. So I'm glad to say that I'm my research is centered around these non-terrestrial networks. I'm focusing on positioning aspect when I, so as I mentioned, positioning is similar to GPS, but right now GPS needs a separate receiver. So in order for mobile to connect to GPS, so my research is centered around using Leos for positioning and using drones as well. You must have heard of UAVs or drones. So using these drones or Leos for positioning aspect, and my research is to come up with different theoretical bounds and developing algorithms to enable that technology. So these are basically some exciting research areas people can focus on. So I just wanted to give a glimpse of what my research focuses on and what I do. So for example, so this is how the localization or positioning is done. For example, we have different base stations. So these are cell towers basically, and there is some node. You can think of it as some mobile device which needs to be located. So I need to basically know my location. So how can I know my location? So this particular approach is called triangulation. So we basically calculate the range with respect to each base station, and do this method called triangulation to locate the mobile device accurately. So my focus is to again develop theoretical bounds and develop algorithms to realize it, to implement it. So I'll just showcase a short demo that I prepared as part of my recent work. I'll show you how this can be done using different approaches and using the approach that I used. So this is the mobile device that I need to locate, and these blue cross marks are the base stations, are the network. So I'm using range measurements from these base stations to locate this particular mobile device. So there is some error, or there is some gap between the final location I came up with and the true location. That's because these range measurements may not be accurate, because I'm estimating them and using them for locating mobile device. So they may not be accurate because of several reasons, because of SNR, or because of channel, or because of the environment. So uh, so so ba- so basically this is my research area, and this is what I'm focusing on. Yeah, if you're interested to know more about my research, you can always feel free to contact me. You can even go through the papers. um, yeah, so So with that, I end my presentation. I end my talk. So I'm happy to take any questions that you have now.
Yeah. Hello, Harish. Am I audible to you?
Yeah, yeah, you are audible.
Yeah. Like that was a fantastic presentation from your side.
Thank you
Actually,
so much.
I have to say something from my side.
Yeah.
Really, there is a reason why I choose ECE as my engineering branch. Actually, I met my dad, so he had a relation with wireless communications. So due to that, I was inspired to take that.
Sure. Okay. Okay. Good to know that. So, in fact, I needed some. I mean, that kind of advice
Yeah.
um, from my parents or my the people that were surrounded by me. But lucky that um, uh, you got that advice or you got that
Yeah.
guidance.
Yeah. Many of our friends are asking many questions, and the comment section is blasting. So, okay.
Okay.
Today
Yeah.
morning we
Yeah.
shared a Google form and we have many questions from our students. Yeah. So there is a common question I found from my friends is that
Okay.
before taking a domain from in MTech, so do we need any prior knowledge in that, or why you choose wireless communications as your master's domain? So is there any motivation, bit of motivation for that?
You- that is interesting. Interesting question. So, um,
Yeah.
to be honest, I had no um, conclusive decision or conclusive inference on why to go for wireless communications. Again, I need to mention Rafi sir here. So once he asked me when I got my master's admission, he asked me, okay, what are you interested? Communications or signal processing? Somehow I said, I don't know why I said that. I said, okay, communications. Then he was like, okay, so then you can work with a professor named Kiran Kuchi there at IIT Hyderabad. He's doing very well in wireless communications. So I thought, okay, yeah, let's try and see how it goes. But after getting into wireless communications or after getting into that aspect, that's when I started developing interest in that. So to be honest, I didn't have any prior knowledge, and I didn't have any even conclusive inference on how why to go for wireless communications. So I would, if you don't have any idea on what to choose or how to choose, don't worry about it. So you can either take some advice from your faculty or seniors. But once you get into that, um, uh, things will start getting interesting. So it's all about how we see things, and how much learning we have during the course of getting to know these things. So yeah, so that's how it happened with me. So I'm sure you uh, I mean, if I tried if I was successful in inducing some interest in wireless communications, yeah, feel free to choose wireless communications. And I'll always be there to guide someone if needed. If not, you can always choose your own interest when you go for higher studies. What do you propose? So do I just go ahead and answer this question? What do you propose to an undergrad student who is thinking to get a job in domain of wireless communications without going to masters? Yeah, again, doing masters is not the only way to get into wireless industries. But when it comes to job after bachelor's, they always see. I mean, when we apply for some job, they always see, okay, so the resumes look similar actually. So that's one concern I always had. So whenever we apply for some role, our resumes or our CVs, they look quite similar, and it's not so easy to judge your skills or your capabilities. So first thing, make sure you um, mm, make sure your CV or your resume captures your interest in wireless communications, or your interest in pursuing your career in wireless communications, and at the same time do some projects that will basically help you to get that weightage. So do some good projects in the final year. That was one thing I still regret. I didn't do great project in my final year, but again, after getting into masters, that regret feeling um kind of went away. So I just went with my masters. So do some good project in your final year, and gain minimal skills, and be strong in fundamentals. So revise your subjects, revise concepts like probability, communications, signal processing, linear algebra. So be strong in those fundamentals, and make sure your resume reflects your interest and your capabilities and your skills. Don't just don't just go with the basic resume that people generally go with. So even if you compare with others, you should see the difference. So you should see that, okay, this resume accurately reflects my interest in wireless communications. At the same time, I did work on some projects which would give me that edge. So have that edge in your resume, and have that edge in your skills. And yeah, then I don't think it'll be super difficult to get into wireless industries even without masters.
Yeah, Harish,
What is the
like
next?
how is AI changing the wireless communication domain totally?
Oh, it's uh, I told you, right. It'll be a game changer, and even
Yeah,
I am also trying to add AI aspect, or machine learning aspect, into my resume. Even I haven't done much in terms of AI and ML. So it basically changes everything. I mean, when it comes to applications like augmented reality, virtual reality, even I told you, right, the cell towers or networks, they can even take care of themselves using AI. You don't need to do anything. Once you
yeah,
once you employ these AI based or ML based algorithms, they can just take care of themselves. And even for next gen technologies like holographic communications, and even for automation, vehicle automation, and so every possible application can be enhanced and enabled by AI and ML. And even some companies are working on changing the basic communication modules using AI modules, like modulation techniques, decoding, uh, channel estimation. So basically, industries and academicians, they are going mad in terms of AI for communication. So there is nothing you can enable using AI when it comes to communication. So sorry, there is nothing you can't enable. So uh,
yeah,
it will basically just change the face of wireless communications in terms of everything. Uh, so try
yeah,
to get that in your resume. So again, going back to the question of
yeah.
getting into wireless industry without going for masters, do this. This is one of
Do
the
this.
factors which give you that edge.
Include AI and ML in your resume. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. Not just include, just have that
Just
knowledge.
learn. Yeah. Okay.
Have that
We have
knowledge, and
another question.
try to gain as much as knowledge possible.
Yeah, sure.
Which ACA core has greater scope in US? Again, AI for wireless communications. And I would also say something related to 5G and 6G always will have greater scope. So especially when you, I mean, this is one thing I wanted to mention. Especially when you go for higher studies, you want to make sure that whatever learning you had in your bachelor's, it is kind of enhanced, and you have multifold intuition, or multifold skills after completing your master's or PhD.
Yeah.
So basically try to learn all the concepts which EC industries or wireless industries they generally look for. Don't just, I mean, again, it is always needed to have fundamentals, but at the same time, I told you, if you have advanced communication concepts, or if you know about 4G or 5G standards, it always gives you that edge, like AI for communication. So you always want to have that edge in terms of in terms of trying for different roles, or in terms of job. You always want to have that edge. So anything related to AI for wireless communications, anything related to 5G and 6G, it always has greater scope, even in US. So yeah. uh,
Yeah. We have another question from same person. Yeah.
What are some of the projects that help me to get knowledge on wireless communications? You can start with basic projects, like uh, for example, simulating BPSK bit error rate, simulating QPSK bit error rate. Start with that, and then start doing projects like OFDM. You can those are to acquire basic skills. Again, you can pick some problem. For example, you want to basically evaluate uh, different blocks in wireless communications. So uh, uh, like channel coding, channel decoding, channel estimation. So each and every concept as its own project that you can explore and do. For example, uh, how frequent, when for example, in order to mitigate the effect of channel, how frequently you need to estimate the channel, or how you can correct offsets in wireless channel. So all, I mean, whatever the project you do, make sure it gives you some intuition. And you can start with basic projects like simulating bit error rate and OFDM, and you can go all the way to okay, I want to basically predict channel. I want to basically use the channel prediction to decide the modulation and coding scheme that I'm going to use. So it is an evolution. And if possible, try to bring in some AI aspect into these projects again. So okay, AI based channel estimation, AI based decoding. uh, so uh, so all these projects will help you to gain that intuition that is needed. But make sure whatever you do it genuinely, by putting 100% efforts. Don't just rely on, let's say, things, tools like ChatGPT. You can fall back to them when you are stuck, or when you want to understand something, but don't rely on them completely. Even I see tools like AI tools like ChatGPT going wrong in terms of technical details. So whatever it says, it's not completely true always. So you have that real intuition, true intuition, when you do these projects. But yeah, again, you can start from basic projects to advanced projects.
Yeah. Harish, I have my personal question regarding wireless communications.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, like yeah, during your RGKT career, maybe you have gone through many domains, right? So
Yeah.
finally, you have stuck with, like, ended with wireless communications. So what experiences did other domains give you personally, and is there any aspect that especially taught you to choose wireless communications as your main career path?
Yeah, so again, I don't say I was a dumb fellow, but I didn't have much knowledge on what technologies, in fact, what technologies existed. Leave about what I was interested in. So I didn't even completely know what technologies existed. So, but once I get into wireless communications, the things I learned, the intuition I developed, it kind of fascinated me, and it developed that interest to pursue career in wireless communication. But I'm not saying wireless communication is the way to go. And this one statement, I in fact I told one of my friends saying, okay, see, we are not born to just be wireless engineers. So we choose wireless because somehow we developed interest in that, but we were not
Yeah.
born to do wireless communications or contribute to wireless communications. So, and in fact,
Yes.
with the technologies evolving, it's always it's everything is fusion now. So I can't just say, okay, I'm a wireless engineer, but and I only focus on wireless concepts. I need to know signal processing. I need to know probability. I need to know, even if I work with let's say some electromagnetic guys, some electromagnetic team, I need to know those details as well. If I work with some AI team, I need to know those details as well. So there is nothing like just wireless communication or communication field as such. You need, even if you are in one field, you need to develop your expertise in other fields as well. So in my case, it was an accident, I would say. I mean, I'm not super proud to say that, but I can admit it. It was an accident to get into wireless communications, but after that, I really started liking it. And again, I can't just confine myself to wireless communications. Again, I need to get expertise in other fields as well. Again, I reiterate this statement. I was not born to just do wireless communication. Uh, so it's always good to have that
Yeah.
cross domain expertise, multidisciplinary expertise. So, but start with one field first, and that will basically take you to wherever you are wherever you want to go, and that will only help you to find new things. That will only help you to learn new concepts. That will only help you to find a bridge between multiple disciplinaries. So, yeah, if wireless communication fascinated you, start with that. Don't think too much about what's going to happen to me after like 5 years, 10 years. Nobody is going to just live with the knowledge they learned during masters or PhD. They need to evolve for sure. Even professors need to evolve, and they also need to learn new technologies, new concepts. Otherwise, they can't survive. So every field has its own time, has its own mojo. But get into some field and start developing all the intuition needed, all the skills needed. That will basically help you to take the steps forward. So then after certain point, you will be like, what field I am in. I don't know if I'm in communications. I don't know if I'm in signal processing. I don't know if I'm in physics. I don't know if I'm in chemistry. So I see some of my lab mates, they work with physics department. So then they need to know that those concepts as well. Um, so
Yeah.
get into one field first, and that will take you forward. So only thing is maintain consistency, learn new concepts. Don't ever hesitate to think that, okay, this is not something that is part of my field. So again, there is no such. I'm repeating it. There is no such skill which is not useful. So it's always good to it is always good to be open and
Yes.
learn as much as possible, and get into just get into all the fields. Don't just confine yourself to one field.
Yeah.
But if wireless communication fascinated you, start with that.
Yeah. We have a question from our viewers.
From which year you started concentrating on your career? Good
That's a tricky
question.
question, I think.
Oh, from which year I started concentrating on my career? I would say maybe after my masters. I mean, even before completing my masters, I was not sure which career I was not completely sure which career I wanted to take. In fact, that's when I landed in unlock devices, and after 1 year, I found myself not liking it. So maybe I would say in 2017, after my masters, in 2017, that's when I started taking my career seriously. Okay, so I this is not something I mean, I just don't want to do something that I don't like. So I want I mean, earning is fine, but after certain point, how much ever you are earning, it doesn't make any difference. It's all about having that work satisfaction. So after 2017, I realized, okay, this is not something I want to do. So I want to do something that I love and like. So then I went back to the startup founded by my master's advisor. So that's when I started taking my career seriously. So yeah, yeah, good question.
So I, maybe most of us not expecting the answer from you. Like you have started concentrating on your career after masters. Like most of
Yeah,
our
no,
students are
during masters, I
basically
was just
they're stuck with the thing that yeah,
yeah. Again, though, I mean,
most of
I
our
may not be a
students they think
perfect
that
example,
it's
so
the right time to
so
start working on career.
don't take me as your
Yeah,
role model, or don't take me as your as a reference. I in fact I am sure most of you are more talented and more knowledgeable than me. So uh, it's just that things happened. Things constructively happened for me, and I also made sure, okay, I always evolved, and I always took right decisions at the right time. Even phd, it was like alien to me. Phd was like, okay, so there is some meme in one of the Telugu movies, right? um, wa- PhD వాడేవాడు బ్రో, వాడి గురించి నేను ఎందుకు తెలుసుకోవాలి, సో దట్ వాజ్ మై ఫీలింగ్. సో PhD was like alien to me. So then after certain point I realized, okay, I need to do PhD. So that's when, and then I contacted some seniors, and one senior advised saying, okay, go to US. In US, PhD is quite rigorous, and it has good weightage. Then I was like, okay, let's apply for US. So so I mean, for in my case, I always took right decisions at the right time, I would say. And I was a bit brave compared to others when taking decisions. And I mean, leaving company like Unlock Device and joining a startup, and then leaving it for PhD. So I made sure things are always exciting and interesting in terms of my career. I mean, financially, not, I don't say it was fruitful and so exciting, but
yeah,
again, that was not my concern any time. So I always wanted to make sure I work satisfaction is my first priority. How many years okay,
yeah.
so what is the next question, by the way?
How many
What is
years
the
to complete your PhD in US?
PhD in US?
Yeah,
Okay, so for direct PhD, it would take at least 4 to 5 years. Again, I'll repeat the same question. So I mean, when people ask you, okay, do you want to study for 5 more years? Then just ask a reflecting question, saying, okay, do you want to work for 50 more years? So,
50 more years.
and this 5 years is 5 years is time that you give yourself to explore things, to understand new concepts, to learn your skills at your own pace. Nobody pushes you, nobody forces you, and you are in a very comfortable environment to do all this. When you are in industry, you are just doing 9 to 5 job, and meeting those deadlines and meeting those project requirements. So even if you are in R&D teams, I'm telling you, even if you are in research and development teams, the scope for learning new things is not as much as you have on campus. So don't think that, okay, I'm spending 2 more years, I'm spending 5 more years on campus, but at the end, and when you get into industries, that's when you realize the value of the time you spent on campus. And once you are done with masters or PhD, the next 40 or 50 years, it would be completely different than what it was. So even in my case, uh, I always think that, what if I would have chosen Infosys job over IIT admission? Then I would just I would just be uh, I would just be in normal software engineer doing 9 to 5 job, not worrying about anything else. So so it's good that I didn't take that decision. So think in that perspective, like how my career is going to change
Yeah,
because of these 2 years or 4 years or 5 years. And and it's always good to do something that you love, right? So with higher studies, that's what you can do. So you can always find something that you can love doing. So yeah, it's always good to. I mean, it's again, it's never learning new skills or doing higher studies. There is no such thing as which not useful. So yeah, just think about the larger picture, and what you want to do in 30 or 40 years of your career. Can we contact you for more info for further in future? Sure,
Yeah.
sure, sure. You can
Uh,
contact me. I can share my email and contact number with Vijay. You can take my contact number and email ID with from him. So feel free to contact me. And as I told you, if I have answer, I'll answer you. Otherwise,
yeah.
I'll direct you to someone who can help you with. Are you happy for what you're doing? I mean, do you think you succeeded in your life? Wow, very good question. I am really happy about what I'm doing. Uh, I'm not sure if that is reflected in this tech talk, but I'm quite happy about what I'm doing. And uh, success. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to define success. When you ask me what is success, I would say, I mean, that's my perspective. I would say, okay, I'm getting to work with some exciting people, some well-known people in, let's say, wireless communications or in ECE, and I'm getting to work with people from Qualcomm, people from Nokia, which are like big players, and I'm working with teams. I'm working with research and development teams and standard teams, which are very, which are quite competitive to even get in. So yeah, I'm quite happy about what I'm doing, and yeah. So this is what success means to me. Like, for me, success means love what I'm doing. So I'm loving what I'm doing. So that's what matters. And yeah, yeah, that's what I can say. So yeah, I'm quite happy about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
Yeah. Mr. Harish, like, can you suggest our students like how when to start their career, like when they have to concentrate on their career? In your perspective, when you focus on the present norms.
uh, when to focus on your career right now?
Yeah.
Focus right now. Don't be
Yeah.
clueless like me. So focus on your career right now. And I would say, when you want to do something, this is from my experience. So when you want to do something, don't take too many opinions. So if you want to talk to someone, maybe talk to one or two people, but don't take too many opinions, because too many opinions will spoil it. So for example, if you want to go for masters, just go for masters and do that process. Start doing that process. If you want to get into industry, start working on it. Okay, what skills I need to get into industry? So I would say, start focusing on right now, and acquire the needed skills and be strong in fundamentals. If you are planning for higher studies, then start preparing for GATE, or start applying for universities abroad. And if, in fact, there are better resources now compared to what it was, to learn, to get that awareness as well, like what things are good, and what things will make you stand out, and what kind of exciting concepts that you can learn and work on. So everything is out there. So exploit it, use it as much as possible. And yeah, simply saying, start focusing on your career right now. So don't be like me.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Like I have seen the
Accidental
many
thing.
like situations like wireless communication is mandatory for remote villages. So how can we implement that technology in our India? So that we could develop wireless communications in a vast level.
Yeah. So that is a good question. So In fact, I was mentioning even WiSig networks was playing some role in terms of providing services to countries like ours, India. When comparing to other countries in India, we have more rural coverage, so that needs to be taken care. It's not urban or semi-urban everywhere. We have more rural areas than these urban areas. So and for us, it's not just about providing broadband services or providing these high data speeds in cities or in urban areas. So we need to make sure the rural areas are also covered. So first thing is provide coverage. So, I mean, for example, if mine is a remote village. If I go to my village, I worry that I can't work because the internet connectivity is not good enough. So and there is no fiber connectivity is not there, so I can't install wi-fi or I can't install ethernet. So my only hope is to rely on cellular communications. Again, that connectivity is
Yeah.
not so good. So what can I do about it? So I need uh, the major focus should be for countries like ours, rural coverage. First, they need to make sure minimal coverage is provided and minimal data speeds are provided for day-to-day purposes, daily activities. And that's when even basic network started talking about specific not feature specific consideration for standards called low mobility low carrier. So low mobility in the sense, not I mean mobile devices are not moving at high speeds, which is like rural area. Low mobility and low coverage,
Yeah.
low carrier. So low carrier, why we need low carrier? Because when you go for lower carrier frequencies, they can offer higher range because when you the lower the frequency is, lower the losses are when it propagates, the EM wave propagates. So so you need to focus these kind of aspects in order to enhance rural coverage, like low mobility, low carrier, and yeah, basically make sure that coverage is first met instead of going for fancy applications like AR, VR, or gaming services and all, providing like 100 Gbps, 100 Mbps, 1 Gbps. First, provide rural coverage. I still remember when I was in our college, uh, the connectivity. I mean, I can see the signal strength is full, but nobody could connect. I mean, one needs to try for like 10 to 15 times in order to do a voice call. That's
Yeah.
because they installed a tower, but the bandwidth was not enough. There are like thousands of students, and bandwidth was not enough, and it took me a lot of I mean, it took me years to understand bandwidth was not enough there. So because I mean,
Yeah.
at that time I had, I mean, I was not aware of that. So then I realized, okay, they just provided services just for the sake of it, but they didn't provide enough bandwidth to cater to everyone. Uh, so basically, don't do this political. Don't take these political steps just to pacify the requirements or pacify the environment. Do do provide true rural coverage and provide use. I mean, basically offer enough bandwidth, and even if needed, go for lower carriers. Again, speed is not the major concern there. Coverage is the major concern. So provide basic voice and
Yes.
data services, and then worry about fancy applications.
Yeah. Actually, you have told in the previous presentation, like you're working on the research of NTN, right? So
Yeah,
how
yeah.
is that related to present drone wars or UAV fightings between Russia and you can see, right, Russia and Ukraine? So how can
Yeah,
we
yeah, yeah.
include that NTN technology in present, and how can that be developable in further years?
Yeah, I mean, in fact, UAVs were considered as part of 5G technology. So they, uh, they were kind of exciting at some point, but right now people are not really interested in UAVs. So except for let's say specific applications, for example, I'm enabling the application to support to provide communication services when there is some emergency requirement. For example, this building is on fire, and I want to basically find out who are there inside, so that I can inform firefighters, or I can inform relevant supporters to rescue them. So for these specific applications, UAVs are used, and even for example, the war environment that you just mentioned. Even for those, I mean, those specific kind of applications, you can always use UAVs or drones. But uh, with Leos, it is exciting because Leos, they provide you global coverage, and uh, at the same time, industries are deploying a lot and lot of LEO satellites. For example, GPS, there are only 30 satellites, and you won't believe it. Starlink already has like more than 2,000 satellites in LEO satellites, but GPS is only 30 satellites. So just imagine with the kind of deployments happening for LEOs, what kind of coverage and services that you can enable. So with Leos, the advantage is the deployment cost is much lower than GPS. The maintenance cost is much lower than GPS, and they provide global coverage, seamless global coverage, and you can use these Leos for both communication purposes and even for navigation purposes like GPS as well. So and somehow industries are particularly interested in Leos because they see that Leos will enable next generation applications like automotive vehicles, IoT, global IoT, industrial IoT. So industries are more interested in Leos because they are capable of enabling these fancy applications all over the globe, without having to spend much time. I mean, much money and time on deploying them, and even maintaining them. So that way, Leos are kind of exciting currently, and even 5G and 6G are integrating Leos into these 5G and 6G technologies. So as I told you, as I mentioned in one of the slides, technology is moving forward such that we can even mobile devices can directly connect to satellites, LEO
Yeah.
satellites, like how Starlink receiver connects Starlink satellites for services. So and recently, in fact, uh, messaging services was enabled using this
IOE.
NTN. They call it non-terrestrial networks. Using LEOs, messaging services was enabled. Even the other day, even I personally experienced it. I landed in. Me and my friend were coming from San Diego to Virginia. Here, we were taking different flights. I landed in Virginia, and uh, then she was still taking flight. I called her, and she could receive my call in the flight itself. Without any Wi-Fi, without any technology, say just with these NTN services, they call it SYS. It's only for emergency. So SYS is a Morse code for emergency. So
Yeah.
with that, they're enabling messaging services, and I realized that even they can receive calls, but you cannot talk. You cannot communicate. But they are in a position to receive calls. But I don't think it's happening in all the countries, and I don't think it's
Hmm.
happening with other devices. It is only enabled, I think, with iPhone handsets, and only in US. And I even tested when I was in India. It didn't work.
Yeah.
So slowly things are evolving, and even while you are in aircraft, while you are in the air, you can still talk to people seamlessly without even worrying about buying expensive Wi-Fi plans during taking flights.
Hmm.
So yeah, Leos are kind of
Yeah.
exciting, and I'm glad that I'm working on that technology now.
Yeah. We have a question here.
You're mentioning that. getting into wireless communication was accidental. Did you learn all the necessary knowledge required for masters in communication before joining? No, 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 not at all. So I mean, again, I gave GATE exam. I made sure that I learned basic concepts like digital communications, digital signal processing, probability. But again, I don't say I was expert in it. At least I think I was good at all those concepts until I started my masters. So after starting masters, I realized, okay, whatever the concepts I learned, that's not enough. That's not that knowledge was not enough. So again, don't think that you need to learn everything before getting into master. I mean, when you learn everything before getting into masters, then there is no point in getting into masters. So you only get into masters when you feel that okay, something is not complete after your bachelor's. So you feel that okay, I might have done better than this, or I might learn better skills, I might learn more knowledge, I might acquire diverse skills. So that's when you get into higher studies. So higher studies will help you to uh, get better. So you don't need to learn everything before getting into masters. I mean, basically there is no point. So that's where masters plays its role. So it will help you to gain that knowledge, and, gain those required skills, and evolve basically. So don't think that you need to have required knowledge. No, not needed. Have those basic concepts learned. Just be confident in whatever you learned. Then in masters everything will be taken care.
Yeah, I think have completed with these questions. So have really gave and shared a lot of knowledge to our students and me myself. Yeah.
Yeah,
So is there
it's my
anything
pleasure.
last
And
words?
again,
Yeah.
thanks to Rafi sir. He has been one person who always who has been supportive. And even when we didn't know what gate meant or what IIT meant, he was the one who was basically asking us to go for it. So I should be thankful to him. And we should really appreciate his constant efforts to provide you the resources you need, but you didn't know that you needed them. So thanks to him, and appreciate Rafi sir's efforts for doing all this. And and again, I glad that I could talk to everyone, and hope this talk helped you to get some insight into wireless communications world. And again, if you need anything, I just wanted, again, I didn't want to impart any knowledge. I wanted to give some insights and awareness, so that this will be a good starting point to starting point for students who are interested in wireless communications, or who want to pursue something in wireless communications. And feel free to contact me for anything. So again, I'll share my contact with Vijay. So just feel free to contact me. I'm always happy to help you. So yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, that was good talking to you, even Mr. Harish, and that was really good tech talk. And with this, we will be ending this tech talk session of this Engineers Week. And I'm glad that we are hopefully made this tech talk, and we are continuing your legacy in this EC department. And we will be taking a lot from you alumni, many suggestions, many helps needs, and you will be there for us. So thank you, and thank you audience for waiting for this time. And it's been one more than half 1.5 an hour. Yep.
I think I lost you.